welcome to the On to the Next podcast. I'm your host, Alyssa, and I am so happy you are here. If you are watching this on YouTube, you already see I have a guest with me. If you are listening, everyone, I have a fun little guest with me today. Her name is Anna Dove. Hi, Anna.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Of course, I'm excited too.
Yeah.
So, everyone, Anna is my newest friend that I made, which sounds funny, but like it's true.
Yeah.
The power of social media, right?
Oh my gosh, yes, 100%.
So, one of us followed each other on socials.
Yeah, I
on
don't even
Instagram.
remember which one, but I think I might have followed you, to be honest with you.
Cute.
I think I saw like a video that you made, or I don't know.
Okay, I don't remember, but I remember
I
just
know.
seeing whatever that your feed looks so fun.
Yeah, oh, thank you.
And like super like aesthetically pleasing, and I'm like, oh, she's cute. She's like in the area. She seemed around my age.
Yeah.
So obviously, like we followed back. We stayed connected, and also I don't know if it's you, but I really value making like female friends in
Oh
this
my gosh.
industry.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's brutal out here, and I have so many stories of just like nasty men in this like industry that we're in.
Mhm.
Obviously no one knows. We just went right into it. We didn't even discuss who you are.
Yeah, so true,
So
so
let's
true.
first talk about who you are and what you do and all the things, and we can get into more stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So I am a freelance writer and content creator. I do a lot of, writing and editing, but then also doing like videography and editing for that. So yeah, definitely an interesting industry, very like people forward. And yeah, I know what you mean. I was very, very much looking forward to finding more female friends and getting to know people in this community a little bit
Mhm.
more, 100%.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
I feel like when you find a good female friend, I feel like in the industry, girls are either like supporting each other or like low key like
Yeah, kind
hating
of like
on each other.
trying to break it down. Yeah.
And obviously that's not. I don't like that. I don't think we have.
It's not cute. It's
It's
nice.
not. Yeah, we don't have the
Yeah.
space for that. We already have too
No.
much hate. Like, let's not
No.
do it on each other.
Exactly.
So anytime I'm like, okay, she looks great. She's like my age range. She's
Yeah.
a fan. We're commenting on each other's stuff. I'm a fan
Yes.
of her. So let's do this. So I DM'd her like not even 2 weeks ago.
Oh my god.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like the
amazing.
fastest turnaround.
No, why do I feel like I've known you for so long? And like
No, literally same.
we just met last week.
We literally met last week at a little like bakery.
Yeah.
I felt like I was getting ready for a date. Like I was
no
nervous.
same. I was like, why am I nervous right now?
No, I'm like, what do I wear? Like, she's trendy. I gotta look trendy.
Yeah,
I have
no,
to be
same.
cute. I literally was like nervous, like waiting in the fucking bakery or wherever
Yeah,
we
no,
were.
literally.
Because I was like, wait, is this like bashful? It's gonna be
Yeah.
like vulnerable.
Oh my gosh, I know. It's always a little intimidating to just be like
Yeah.
putting yourself out there like in any way like that.
Yeah.
And I feel that.
And obviously, we know what we know of each other through social media, but like
Yeah.
we could have been like a total 180 in person.
100%. I feel like it's always so hard to see if you have like a realistic reading on somebody or if
Mhm.
you're actually gonna like mesh well in person. It's so
Yeah,
different sometimes.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that it worked out though. Like
I do too.
I didn't feel uncomfortable. Obviously, we're
Mhm.
here.
It was
with-
fun.
Yeah, it was fun. We like right away went into like just talking like we were besties like for years.
Yeah,
I feel
like easily.
Yes, which is all we love, obviously. And then within a week, you're here on the podcast.
I know, yeah.
We love it. The quick turnaround.
100%.
Okay, so before we get more into what you do, because she also does a lot of fun traveling I want to talk about,
Me too.
which is a
yes.
whole other section. But first, let's start off with asking what era you're in right now.
Okay, so I feel like this is gonna sound almost basic, but I'm in my Chicago era. Okay,
Oh, that's so cute.
I just moved like 2 months ago officially. I know we talked about it a little bit, but I was bouncing around between San Diego and here for like a year and a half, and back to the travel. I'm very much a travel girly. Like
Mhm.
it is rare for me to be in somewhere for like more than a couple of weeks at a time. And somehow Chicago pulled me in. Like she got her grips, and I was like, okay. I suddenly was like extending my stays, and I was like, wow, okay, I want this community. I want to ground myself a little bit more and like get into it. I feel like I had like connections in a lot of places
Mhm.
and like my foot in a lot of doors almost, but like never really like fully in where I wanted to be. And so yeah, I mean, I've already seen like being here, I feel like I'm meeting so many people and like recognizing the same people at the same events.
Cute, yeah.
Things like that. And yeah, the travel's not stopping. I'm going to Spain next week, but
Okay,
like it's
good.
nice to
No,
be
that's good though.
in one place and getting like that community. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
100%.
that's It's my
I
era.
love it. That's
Yeah.
so cute. I was like, that's different though. I haven't gotten the Chicago era because obviously,
Yeah.
like, my people who've been on here, aside from one, has been from here.
Right, which
So,
makes sense. Yeah.
like, it's cute to get other perspectives as well.
Yeah, I feel like it's interesting, yeah, like knowing most people are like from here, or I know everybody like because of Chicago. It's
Mhm.
like I definitely think of my different periods of life kind of based on that, of
Yeah.
like places I'm living or like where I'm centered around.
Mhm.
And so it's interesting to realize, like, when I was thinking about it ahead of time a little
Yeah.
bit, because I listened to the podcast, obviously, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get asked this. I have to have an idea.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
good. I love the preparation,
Thank you,
the
thank
little
you.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything else we talk about today, like,
Mhm.
she has no idea. Obviously,
No,
she
not at
gets the
all.
vibe of the podcast,
Yeah.
but, like, you don't know specific questions, so I am
Mhm.
excited for that.
Me too. I'm excited to like see where we go with it.
Me
Yeah.
too, because also we can, like, venture off to different things I don't even have written down, which is always
I love
fun.
that. Yeah.
Okay, so now let's talk about your travel life. So your Instagram bio says you've been to 31 countries?
36.
Okay.
I think.
I knew it was in the 30. It was a lot. I knew it was in the 30s.
Not me second guessing myself now, but I think 36. Yeah.
Okay. So I need more context. Like, how did you even start that?
Yeah. No, that's such a good question. Okay, so I have like a typical like fun at the time single aunt that would
Okay.
like be bouncing around Europe during my childhood, and I just remember being like, oh my god, I have to do that. Like, I have to be like her.
Aw.
And so, like, originally, that was definitely my vibe of just, like, okay, I'm gonna go to Italy, and, like, I'm gonna get to kind of, like, the more, like, stereotypical European
Mhm.
vacation spots that you would think of. But then, yeah, when I was in high school, I did a 3-week program, like, educationally based, and then that just kind of, yeah, it spiraled me into like everything else. I took a graduation trip with that same aunt, so it was super exciting.
Aw.
It was very like full circle for
Yeah.
me. And yeah, I ended up choosing my college on the fact that I knew I could study abroad, and so
Okay.
I went to the University of Alabama, and it was cute. It was a moment. It was like not necessarily my moment, but it gave me everything that I could have hoped for. And
Okay.
so in that sense it was. So I did a program called Semester at Sea back in the fall of 2018. We
Okay.
actually just had our 5-year reunion, and it was in Chicago, which was so full circle for me.
Yeah.
We got to host it. It was just over a month ago.
Okay.
I'm a big procrastinator. I just was editing the video for it on the train on the way here. So, you know, if that tells you anything about me. But,
Okay.
yeah, so that was 12 countries. It started in Germany, and then it was, like, around Africa, and then mostly Asia. And, yeah, just, like, I know every study abroad person ever is like, it changed my life, blah, 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 but like, okay, it did. So,
Yeah.
to be honest with you,
No, yeah, I
that
believe
was
it.
hugely foundational. And so the next year I studied abroad in Chile, and we got called home during the pandemic.
Okay.
So that was crazy. But again, super foundational. Like,
Mhm.
I got to always go into these experiences knowing like there is going to be a like deep set part of me that is not the same after this. And I think I always like really fed on that. I was like, knowing that you're going to go somewhere that's like gonna change who you are. Like, you are not going to come back the same person.
Mhm.
It's just like, it's such a privilege, and
Yeah.
it's such a amazing thing that, yeah, so many people don't get. And so then I finished my college still during COVID. It was during the pandemic, but I basically like quarantined in a flat in London.
Oh
For
my
the semester?
gosh.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
sounds fun though, if you have to quarantine anywhere.
No, exactly. It was like well worthwhile. I got a really good educational experience there that was more focused on like my writing and video work.
Okay.
And so it was cool. And London was like one of the first places that I went with my aunt
Okay.
that travels
Yes.
after high school. And so it was like one of those like very full circle, like, okay, like I said I wanted to live here at some point, and now that I'm like finishing college, I get to do that. And yeah, then I moved to San Diego and just kept traveling and getting to go on trips. And then like 2 years ago almost, one of my best friends works for United, and so
Okay.
like 2 years ago he put me on the flight benefits. Shout out Gleb, we love you.
Oh, that is the realest.
Like, oh my gosh, when I tell you that I look like like a nepo baby.
Yeah.
I'm always like, no, I'm always
so
telling
sweet.
people, yeah, I'm like, okay, like, I work really hard, like, don't get it twisted, I work my ass off, but also, like, it's not like I'm, you know, having to foot the bill for all of these flights that I'm taking, and that's, like, how I was able to come back and forth. Like, I'm realizing now, I'm like, okay, it sounds ridiculous to be like, oh, I was coming back and forth between, like, San Diego and Chicago all the time, like, that's just realistic, but, like, anyway.
I love even if it's like a subtle flex, it's a flex, and I love that for you.
No, it's so fun.
Also, capitalize on that while you can. You're the youngest you'll ever be.
Yes.
Why not take advantage of that? And when you have the perks of your bestie, like, again, that's like such an honor. Like, do your thing and own it, and don't feel embarrassed to like like that's fun. Like, I'm here to celebrate that.
No, we love
I love
that.
that for you.
Support.
Yeah. That is so amazing. I mean, just with traveling alone, there's so many questions, but when you moved to San Diego, did you move solely alone, or like I know you said you had a roommate?
Yeah.
But did you know them before? Like, what was that like?
I did. It was actually a really unique situation. I was planning to move in with one of my friends from Semester at Sea. She was like from California. She'd gone to school there, and so we had been planning that, and then it turned out that my childhood best friend from when I was like 6 years old, she was like, okay, is there any chance that you guys want a third roommate? And so San Diego prices immediately, yes, of course we do. Like, duh. And yeah, so I ended up living with both of them. My friend Brooke and I, we shared a bedroom, and so we like had a twin bed on both sides of the room moment for like a year. I was like, okay, we're doing this. And then it was actually like the perfect balance of a roommate situation, because one of us was always going somewhere. So we would be up at 4 a.m. to take each other to the airport, like on a weekly basis. And it was such a good thing. Like, nobody was ever like feeling guilty or like, okay, like I don't want to ask again. And then when we all got to be together, it was like so much more exciting. So I had people, but I realized that a lot of people had like just left, like, or just graduated college when I was moving. So in my head, I did envision like San Diego is where everybody's at right now. Like, I want to be there.
Okay.
And then by the time I got there, I was like, oh, I didn't think about that. Like, people move on. Like, people like graduate and like leave. And so, yeah, it was a solid place, but I did leave it a lot.
Okay. So you still, it was like a home base, but like you still were able to move around. And, like,
gorgeous home base.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
so
great. And good weather whenever you would go there, so that always is a perk.
Oh, yeah, always.
I think that's just so cool, and that's really inspiring too, that you are so young and you've already done all this.
Yeah.
But that's really iconic for you, and then I feel like you're not going to feel like you missed out when you're older, if that makes sense.
I do agree with that. Like, I definitely have kind of a perspective of like, I want to be responsible enough, but also like, you're young.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to enjoy getting to do stuff more now or like in 30 years or something? And so it's been fun.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you, like, what advice do you have for people who want to travel? Because I think you're 24, right? Yeah, so you're older than I am. You've been to 36-ish countries, going to Spain again. Okay. Yeah. Going to Spain again in a week. You also lived in 2 different like major cities, I feel like, or you're currently living in Chicago. So where are you from, number one?
Oh yeah,
and then I know, like I know you told me, but like just so everyone can understand, like you're from somewhere else. And then also, like, what advice do you have for people who are kind of looking for something different, or if they're looking to change up their life? Advice for moving, whether it's moving to a different state, different city, or in general just with traveling.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I always forget because I just say like, oh, I moved from San Diego. So I'm from Ohio.
Okay.
I'm from Columbus, and I will say that was a big part of me not like moving to Chicago just like first thing. So like you said, that, you know, getting to do all of the things I do young, I know that I'm not missing out, and I feel the same way about like the fact that I didn't move here right off the bat, because like being from the Midwest, it's like I love this, but like I think I needed to come back to it
that
like on my own. Sense. And I like will say that I kind of apply that to everything, like traveling, moving, doing any of it. Like obviously there are factors like cost and like family and just like being realistic. But like when it comes down to like if you have an opportunity and like it is within your reach, like I think just doing what feels right is so important. And I think like a lot of people get hung up on the overthinking of like, okay, it's a new place, or like, okay, like I've never really traveled before, what am I supposed to do about this, or like how do I go about it? And it's like I've realized that I also still have a little bit of that before like certain trips or before a big move. But once I'm someplace new or once I'm in that moment, I'm like, okay, I was like meant to be here, like I was supposed to be doing this. And it's like trusting your gut, but also just like knowing that like if you have interest in something, or if you have like the desire to go out there and do more, like realistically it's going to be such a good experience. And even if it's not like the quintessential like perfect trip or like perfect like move to a new city, you're gonna learn something. And so I feel like letting go a little bit of that fear of the unknown is like perfect. And like right now I feel like I'm in a moment of like embracing the fear of staying in one place, which sounds ridiculous, but it's like
the commitment issues.
Yeah, low key.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. No, that's crazy. Because
that's
like
essentially what it sounds like.
It kind of, it's rooted, I think.
It's deep rooted commitment issues.
Yeah, they're there. They're there.
That's funny, not funny, but valid, very valid.
Yeah.
I also think like worst case, just go back home.
No,
like
exactly.
You're never like, God willing, of course, like
right.
hoping that you have the privilege to always go home if you ever need to, like anyone, not even just you, anyone who's leaving anywhere, I feel like worst case, just go back to where you started and start over. Like you're gonna be okay. And I'm someone who believes in the universe. I believe in what's meant to be will be. I believe in fate, butterfly effect, all that stuff.
Yeah, me too. So hard.
It's like the only reason why I'm functioning as a human.
Yeah, exactly.
So it gives me my hope and all that stuff. So 100%, like you said, like it was really nice hearing you say, like, you know, even if you go somewhere, like you feel like you were meant to be there, even if it wasn't the best experience ever, you still learned from it and grew from it.
Exactly.
So I think it's really important.
Yeah, I'm huge on that too. I think everything happens for a reason. Like, again, even these like small moments that you don't think are gonna be leading to anything big, like you can like if you can look back at something that was out of your comfort zone and see like, okay, this directly ended up leading me to something else, or like the understanding about myself that like led me to something. I think that's huge.
No, 100%. I think my best moments of growth, my favorite parts of myself that I'm discovering has been from being out of my comfort zone. Which is like a cliche, like you don't grow in your comfort zone, whatever. But I think obviously we're both in transitional periods in life, just being in our 20s. And so no matter what, I think being uncomfortable like is the real way to be able to find yourself and grow. And also, again, like I think we're lucky enough to not have the pressures of like, you know, by 23 my grandma already had 3 kids, and like that was a whole other thing. So I feel like for me, like being able to still experience life and like not have those pressures, also God willing, that also is a blessing. Like take advantage of these moments, like what you're doing with going everywhere and just experiencing life. And then also you make so much friends, you have a whole community, which I think is really cool and really special.
I think about that sometimes, and I'm so grateful of just knowing that like there's so many countries and like so many places I could go and just be like, okay, I'm coming to stay. Like I was in Amsterdam in May, and I was staying with one of my old professors and his family. And it was from semester at sea, and so we were all like, for context, we were all on a ship like living together, and like we all spent a lot of time together. So it's not like a typical like, oh, they were my teacher and like I'm crashing. It's like, okay, we're all living in the same space. And so it was so cool to go get to like see them in their real life. And this Spain trip is actually a bunch of my friends from Chile are now teaching English there. And it's like our first little international reunion
that is
since South America. And I'm so excited to like dive back into the Spanish, dive back into just like our travel dynamic. So it's definitely, it's cool.
Do you speak other languages?
I do speak Spanish.
Okay, and is it because of traveling, or?
It is, yeah. I studied it. Okay, I was actually one of my majors in college.
Okay.
I don't really like talk about it that much because I always get nervous. Like I'll get scared to speak it, but like I understand it. I like, speak Spanish. And then being in Chile,
Yeah.
that was helpful. They have a very different kind of like way of speaking in
Okay.
dialect.
Okay.
And so like
You had to like learn again.
yeah,
Right?
almost.
Okay.
But
Well, that's
it was
good. I
helpful.
think the best way is learning like in the moment. Like,
Exactly.
you know, physically getting the practice.
Exactly.
Well, that's good. I was gonna ask
Yeah.
you like, wait, you've been in all these countries. Like, do you have to speak another language? Which
like no, but yes.
Okay.
Like I don't think you do at all, but even when I'm traveling like anywhere, I feel like I'll learn like at least a couple like major phrases or like little things to know. I always just feel so weird going somewhere and being like I know they're gonna speak English realistically most places,
Okay.
but like I feel like it's so presumptuous or like
yeah.
I don't know. I always try at least to have like a little like note in my notes app of like, okay, what do I need to
Like
say to
essentials,
them?
like common
Yeah.
phrases and stuff.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And I feel like it's always like helpful, and I feel like it like lets you pick up on more too if you're already going in with that mindset of like
Okay.
it's like, yeah, what can I learn about myself, but also what can I learn about like this culture and about this language.
Yeah.
And like yeah, it's all like obviously some of the time it's not as easy, or like a certain language might be just like so complicated.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that's really helpful at least. But yeah, even for me with Spanish, like I spent a month in Mexico City
Okay.
this summer with one of my friends.
okay, cute.
Yeah, I love that. It was like very fun. In Mexico City, I realized that I was speaking Spanish like so much. And that goes back to the travel thing too, I feel like, with language. It's like, yeah, I'll get nervous or I'll be like, oh, like, yeah, I kind of speak it. But then when I'm in a situation where I'm like immersed and like the confidence is back, we're back in it. Like, that's how I feel taking a trip after I haven't traveled in a while. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, like I know what I'm doing. Like, why am I questioning myself? You know?
Okay. Well, that's really
Yeah.
cool. And then you find yourself again in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like, because you're forced to, kind of.
Exactly,
But, I mean,
yeah.
that's good. Obviously, that's a great process, I think.
Exactly.
That's really cool. I think, yeah, overall, like, super inspiring and definitely makes me want to travel more.
Cute.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
And I kind of going off of this, because I know we, like, touched on this, but I was always curious of, like, what life is like in the dating world while you're traveling so much.
That is such a good question. I got dinner with a friend yesterday, and she's like, she asked me, she was like, okay, until this week, when is like, she was like, when is the last time that you went on like an actual date? Like a real, like, you're sitting down, like you're getting drinks or you're getting dinner, you're talking. And I was like, whoa. Like I had to think about it, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I could not come up with an answer.
Because you're
Because
busy, which
I'm, like,
makes sense.
Yeah, I'm always meeting people, and like I feel like I'll go out with people, but it's just not in that traditional sense.
Okay.
Like, or like I'll know somebody that's like a friend of a friend, and so we're like, oh, like let's go, like keep it going, or like let's go do something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very interesting. Like I'm a big fan of a nice little international moment.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, I feel like I would, if I was like doing all the traveling, I would literally have a different like boy in every country.
No, yeah.
Which it sounds like obnoxious as fuck, but like
no,
how
but it's
could you
not. Like how could you not? Exactly.
Yeah.
There was like okay, I was about to say there was such a period, like I'm not still kind of in that moment.
Okay.
But like there was such a period, like even until I moved, like it does feel like a shift in my head.
Okay.
Now that I'm here. But like I feel like I would be meeting so many people from so many different places.
Yeah.
Like honestly, a lot of my Instagram is people that I've met on like nights out in other countries that I'm like, I'm invested in your life now, but like I don't know anything about you.
Okay.
That kind of vibe. Like it's like the reverse of us like following each other, and then like I feel like we're gonna be friends now.
Yeah, like slowly getting into that phase.
Yeah.
But the other way around, you guys just kind of like immerse in that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then so it's like, okay, I followed you on Instagram for like 3 years. Like, do you want to like hang out now that I'm like back in
Got it.
wherever?
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's been a lot of like just bouncing around and like seeing who I'm gonna see, like yeah. Again, okay, we're going back to like commitment.
You're like processing your
Accidentally.
own. You're like, shit, am I the problem? I'm
No,
just kidding.
that's like
You're like, I see you like the wheels are turning. You're like,
no, they are.
like saying it out loud sometimes. Every
Yeah.
person I've had on after has either texted me or have done a shift in their life since we've
Yeah.
talked about something that I pinpointed. Like not even like me calling out. Like they just realized like, wait. And they're like, I feel like I'm in therapy. Like I'm really
Yeah, oh my
processing
gosh.
something about myself I didn't realize, so I say it out loud.
Yeah.
And it's just like a funny moment. And I think I do that after every episode as well. Like, I haven't had a solo episode in a few weeks now, and I won't be even after this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I need to talk to everyone because I'm like, I have so many things I've learned just this past month.
Yeah.
And it's from like being here, and then my whole life, I'm like living life also thinking of like content for the podcast.
No, 100%.
Like, which isn't even like intentional, it's not vicious, it's just genuinely like it's
Mhm.
on my mind 25/8. This is like my baby, do you know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm like, I need things to talk about, and I feel like it's cool experiencing those things too, and like having just organic conversations, but also
Mhm.
like realizing shit about yourself.
No, 100%. It's like you get into that place where like you're asking questions, like they don't even have to be the right questions if it just like kind of like gets your like wheels turning.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh my god. I feel like I was thinking about that. I was like, you have to be thinking about your life and being like, okay, this is going on the podcast. Like,
Yeah, like you have to.
that's-
Well, yeah, there's so many things. I think I
Yeah.
want to do an episode where one of my like good friends asks me questions
Oh, I like
because
that.
I realize I'm projecting myself
Mhm.
with my own. I have the power.
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm giving myself, which I think I've been pretty raw. I've been
Mhm.
told by friends like I'm not bullshitting. I'm very honest to who I am, which is
yeah.
such a compliment to hear that. It's being projected on the camera or on the mic.
Mhm.
But I feel like there's things I don't touch on because I'm like, it's not the topic for today.
Yeah.
And it's not just because I'm like hiding anything. That's not the topic. Do you know
yeah,
what I mean?
like you have to like. There's only a certain amount of time that we have, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so that's something I'm looking into, and I have a friend who said she'd do it, so I think that would be like a fun little moment just to have like a reverse of what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was just going back to like the dating and the traveling and everything. That just sounds like a blast. And
yes.
I okay, like this might be a weird question, but do you have like a
Mhm.
certain type? Because like I feel like when you're in different countries, like there's different
Mhm.
experiences. Like, do you feel like you kind of navigate towards one type of energy or something?
Yeah, I feel like honestly, I feel like I'm an outgoing person, okay?
Okay.
But I also feel like I'm very drawn to people that are like more outgoing than I am.
Okay.
It's like either somebody's gonna be like a very high energy, like very defined personality, or they're gonna be like low-key shy.
Okay, like
And
Meaning
so it's
the
like
boy?
one or the other.
okay,
Yeah.
like two extremes kind of.
Yeah, basically. I guess like okay, that wasn't the best description.
No, you're good.
I feel like yeah, okay. I do think I go toward the extremes of like somebody that's either gonna be like really just like confident and high energy,
Mhm.
but I feel like sometimes that can also translate to like douchey
Okay.
or like
well, yeah, I think
like,
like guys, I get it.
typically,
Yeah.
but not always, not always. So like I want to be open,
Okay.
but then like if they're a little bit more like quiet or low key, like not like making you chase them per se,
Okay.
but like just like you have to like
It's
get to know them more, like there's a
Mhm.
little bit less on the table. I think I like that too.
the mystery.
The
kind of.
mystery, yeah. I feel like that's like both kinds of people. That's
Okay.
like literally just like the two types of people that there are, but
Yeah,
also
no, but
like
that's like what you kind of gravitate towards.
I think
depending
so.
on
I
the
think
setting.
there's depending on the setting, I think that's a huge
Okay.
thing. Is like where we're at. Like, am I meeting you at like a hostel party, or is it like okay, like I ran into you on the beach and like we started talking?
Yeah,
I think that makes a huge difference too. If like what you're drawn towards
Yeah,
at different like
of
periods
course,
of time.
100%. Like what the vibe is when you meet them. Like if you're at a club,
Mm-hmm.
it might be easier to like the outgoing one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
versus like being more chill.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so interesting too hearing like some of my guy friends recently talk about that, or like traveling but also like just going up to girls at clubs like that, because they'll be like, oh my god, well I'm not gonna do that, like she's probably having fun, like I don't want to like bother her. And I was like, oh my gosh, wait, like that kind of flipped a switch for me too, because I was like, okay, like if they're not gonna like come up to me, or like if like I'm not like interesting enough for them to like want to even like talk to,
Uh-huh.
like okay, maybe it's just not gonna like happen. But then hearing that, I was like, okay, so like sometimes you just like do need to be a little bit more like outgoing or like forward yourself. Yeah, so I've been thinking about that a lot of like,
Yeah.
okay, like when is it my turn to like make the move? Like when am I just gonna like
Yeah.
like okay, I want to do this, so like let me
I
let me get into that.
Definitely like learned that
Yeah.
early on to being single because I'm
Yeah.
out it's weird. When I was like fully like brand new out of being single, I've never had more guys at once or like in one night go up to me, like they felt my energy or something. And I know that they say like, oh, like how you present yourself and like the way like you're forward or whatever, you know, you're seeking, it's clear. But it's very interesting because I remember my first night out, I'm like, I left with like 4 numbers, and I like was like thriving, and they were all like good, like decent people, like candidates. I use the word prospects or candidates. So like it was just like a fun like moment, and it reminded me like, wait, like honeybee, like you have the whole world. Like what are you doing fucking dilly-dallying with one kid that you knew for a few years in college? Like come on now, like, you know. And no beef in that sense. It just was like where I was in life, it made sense. And then now when I was out of it, I was like, wait, there's so many more opportunity and experiences to be had with other people too. But I think that I've quickly got the confidence, I think because I felt the energy very early on with guys coming up to me. I like got the confidence to go up to them after a while. And now I would say like, if I want to, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't care, I'll go up to him. Like I don't have fear. And I think it's because I also feel like at the end of the day, worst case, guys are horny. So no matter what, even if they're fucking like, no matter what, even if they're bashful or if they don't like me, to think I'm disgusting, no matter what, if they're horny, they will want to fuck me. I don't fuck them, because obviously, like I know, I'm aware of that. But you know that, but I at least know I won't be like rejected, like face to face.
They're not gonna like laugh in your face and be like, huh?
Yeah, and then if they do, I would probably laugh to something even douchier back to them.
No, honestly.
And then it's just like I don't even care, like it's a joke at that point.
It's like you can hang too.
Yeah,
like it's not like I'm nervous. Like
exactly. And I think that's something I've learned early on. At the bare minimum, like they're gonna at least like a girl seek them.
Yeah, it's like they like being. I've also heard that a lot from like people recently, just like talking about stuff. They're like, oh my god, like it's so much hotter when like a girl makes the first move. And I'm like, okay, I kind of get that. Like if you're like you're always feeling like you have to be the one as a guy. Like of course it's hot when a girl's like, wait, like what are you doing this week? Like they're like, okay, like do you want to go do something?
100%. And like be more assertive in that sense.
Exactly. I'm definitely like trying to relearn a little bit. Like that sounds so dumb. I sound like I'm old or something, but like I'm trying to relearn. I was also in like a 5-year relationship during like high school, college.
Okay.
Just for a little bit of context.
Yeah.
And so that ended like right before I did my first big semester of study abroad. And like again, no hate, but thank God. Like thank God that happened when it did. It needed to be like I've been in my single era for a long time. Like single but having fun.
You're like thriving. It's okay though.
Yeah. And so like traveling, even like being based out of San Diego, I was like I would go out with people a little bit, but I would be like, okay, well I don't know when I'm gonna be back next. Or I would be like, okay, I'm only here for 2 days and I want to see my roommates. Or like I would end up realizing like I was always prioritizing like my friends, which as you should. Like I was like, I'm here for a week, I want to see you. But now that I'm in Chicago, it's like a different like relearning of I'm like, wait, I'm like free next week. Like no, like we could hang out, or like oh, like I like actually have that like bandwidth low key. Like there's just like space again that I'm like,
makes sense.
Okay, like it's interesting seeing how the vibes shift so quickly. I'm like, okay.
Do you feel like when you're, are you like actively like searching, like not searching, but are you actively like open to that? Like, are you on apps? Are you like back in like that realm where we're going out and stuff? Or are you kind of letting it come to you when it comes?
I think honestly, I'm definitely still in the vibe of like letting it come when it comes. Like, I don't have any of the apps, to be honest with you.
I don't either.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of just like organically meeting. I know that's like so not typical for a lot of people. Like,
I agree. 100%.
But I think that's so like it's such a better vibe. I'm like, okay, there is enough people. Again, like you said, there's so many people in the world. Like, I will find somebody like out or like. It's just gonna happen when it happens.
And I've noticed when I'm just doing like the most mundane things is when I find like someone will come up to me, or like you just like are in a coffee shop and you kind of make eyes with someone and it's just like a cute little moment and it's more exciting. Of course it's exciting sending a DM and throwing your phone and screaming because you're like, oh my god, that was so embarrassing, oh my god, and then they respond and you're like, oh my god, whatever. That's also exciting, but it's a different energy. I think it's more vulnerable when you're both in front of each other and have to like seek one another because you don't have time to like think of a response. compared to like
gosh,
on Instagram.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's such a good point of like, okay, like I'm gonna reach out, but then I can like ignore it for like an hour and think about like, okay, what's a good comeback or like what's a good response?
Exactly. Yeah, and so I think that's been a thing. And of course, I pray that my husband is someone I can be like, oh my god, we met at a Barnes and Noble and like we touched hands and like we sparked, like the
it's
spark.
like literally like a meet cute or whatever.
No, I literally want like some cringy like, oh my god, like mom and dad, like I don't know, like something like super like just ordinary and not like, oh yeah, like we met off of like Tinder.
Yeah.
And like no beef. I have friends who they've done it. No beef. It's just not what I want right now.
I do agree with that. Yeah, like I've seen so many success stories. Like literally like the two friends that I have that have been together for like 7-8 years, they're like my idols. I'm like, okay, if I'm in a relationship, like I want it to be like yours.
Good, yeah.
But they met on Tinder.
That's really
and I'm like,
cute.
I love that. So it's like there's obviously so much possibility, but it's like, yeah, on that front. Also, it's like not my vibe. I feel like I get like desensitized. I'll just like, I had it for a while and I would just like scroll and I was like, this isn't even like real.
It's,
you know,
like
I can't like separate it. Like,
yeah, I can imagine. I think it's also hard because it's like, of course, when you're out in the world, you know, if someone's single, you can imagine they have other people, they're maybe talking, like there's other things. But I feel like if you're actively on Tinder or like on one of those dating apps, I just feel like, okay, how many other girls are also like DMing or message? I don't even know what.
Yeah, like at the literal same time, like that's different than
like,
I'm like seeing different people. It's Yeah,
it doesn't feel as organic. Which obviously, I mean, I wouldn't go on Tinder to find like a boyfriend.
Yeah, no.
But if it happens organically, great.
Yeah.
But I just think it's like, I don't know. I haven't been on it since being single.
Okay.
So I haven't experienced like what I really feel in terms of like being on dating apps. I do have friends who are on it, and I'll like fuck around with it with them. Like it's obviously their profile, so I don't have the full like control, and I'm fine with it. I just think it's interesting. Yeah. And seeing the people, I don't know. It's just not where I'm at right now.
I feel you. I don't know what just made me think of this. I forgot. I was like on a different app for a little bit in San Diego, and it was like, it's new. It's a good app. Like I would support it or whatever. But it's called Scene though, and they like I found it because I went to this bar with a like friend that was in town, and he was like, oh my god, like they're casting for a dating show. Okay. And so we like went and did the whole little like there was like a setup with like lights and like a camera and we were like talking about ourselves like separately. Like I was not going on that with him.
Okay, I got it.
But it was just like, oh, this could be fun to do. Yeah. And yeah, there was like probably like a 8-month period where they would like be like texting and they were like trying to get this like dating show like startup off the ground. But there was an app for it and I met so many interesting people.
Interesting.
But it was like still the vibe of like I was obviously on it because of the show, and they were like, okay, like try to talk to people, like see if there's anybody you would like end up wanting to go out with once we get this started. And like even then though I was like, this doesn't feel like real life. Even like when there was like an outcome or like a direct like
next step.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like for me, I was just like, I can't like separate the like this is just like I'm like on my phone right now. Yeah. And so that's like very interesting to see too, I guess.
That is interesting. Yeah. I mean, I need someone on his show or the show. Oh my god, me like in my head thinking this is a whole ass production. I want someone on here who also has been like deep in the apps where they like have horror stories and they have great stories, because I feel like I can't touch on that and like I'm cool with it. I don't need to. But same feel like when you say you met interesting people like in a good way or just unique.
I think like both. Like, most people were like pretty also the people I was talking to were like also like selected / like vetted for this potential show that like never happened. But so like that was different too. Like they all had kind of like a cool vibe. But oh my god, even my roommate, like he will talk about his horror stories all of the time. And I'm like, girls. I'm like, I don't have any like really, thank god, but like it's so interesting to me. And he's like very respectful about his stories. I'm always like, okay, what are you about to say about this girl? But he's like,
do
always
I need him on?
Yeah, honestly, that would be so interesting.
I mean, I'd be down.
Listen, okay, we might have another guest coming.
He's watching me like, fuck.
Like, oh my god, like don't make me do that.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because everyone has different POVs, and then now that you're back in Chicago, I'm sure you're gonna feel like Chicago guys are different than like San Diego guys.
Oh my god, immediately already, yeah.
Okay, like
you
what,
can tell.
what have you felt like with that?
I feel like in San Diego, there were so many people that were like, just like California energy. I don't know. They would be like surfers or like. I talked to like a lot of like finance bros.
Okay.
Like I think it was just like the bars we were going to. Like we didn't really ever know where to go out in San Diego.
Yeah.
Much. Like, but yeah, everybody like had this like different air about them. I feel like. Being from the Midwest too, I can sense a Midwest vibe.
Okay, which makes sense.
And like I don't know how to like elaborate, to be honest, but
yeah,
like if you get it, you get it. And
yeah.
so like so many people now, I'm like, okay, it's either like a Midwest thing or they're from like a different country.
Okay.
And so then I'm like, okay, well obviously I fuck with that. Like let's talk about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, no, San Diego felt like very much more a kind of like capsule of like, okay, we've got Southern California and this is like where the energy is.
Like the same energy.
Yeah. And here, I think like maybe it's because it's a city.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
it's
like
a melting pot,
it's a lot more, you know, dynamic than the suburbs of San Diego are gonna be.
Yes, that makes sense.
But yeah, I feel like there's a lot more people that I'm like, okay, you are
like more of a vibe.
Yeah, like it's like a better energy here actually, which I wouldn't have expected.
That's
per se.
good though.
But I'm into it. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
it's like
that works.
Not a bad thing.
Yeah, and I feel like because you said like I grew up here, so I know like what areas to go in to seek what type of people in terms of like Old Town.
Yeah.
To me, Old Town is like my age range guys. They're typically like either fresh out of college or they're like living out here from different states, and they're like kind of more, I don't know what the word is, like not peppy, but like I feel like Old Town boys are either artsy because it's by like Second City, which is an improv like acting world over there, and it's also like, you know, by a Zanies and by the comedy, like it's by Comedy Club, and it's like more like like fun, playful, flirty vibes. So I feel like people in Old Town are more my type of people. I wouldn't go out in like, I don't even know, like a random like nearby like suburb. I mean, I do go out in suburbs, but like I don't know, like if I go out to like Naperville, I feel like it's more like kids from that school because there's a college down there. So like if I go out to that school, I'm noticing there's either like full blown adults or like kids that are like still in college going out in Naperville. It's like their college town. So like I'm not seeking for a college kid. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So like it's just like it's like just knowing the vibe and like knowing what you're gonna get. And also I don't pick places to go intentionally to be like, ooh, I'm gonna find a finance bro, so I'm gonna go to River North. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
but like it's just something to think about. And I think also the age range, because for me, like I like to stay around my age range when dating, just so I feel like to be on more of a common ground. So I wouldn't want to go somewhere and like get hit on by like a 38-year-old man. That's just not my vibe, you know? So I feel like I kind of know that. And so because I know that, I know where to pick and choose, I guess.
That makes sense. I like, obviously, again, like not living here when I was like really getting acquainted with the city, I would always be going out with my friends, and I have to say, the amount of low-key, unexpected success that I've had in, like, Boys Town.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, I get that. Like, you're an ally. Like, you're here with it. But, like, again, I'm never looking. I'm like, I'm in Boys Town. Yeah. But, like, one of my friends is, like, a really big wingman. Okay. And I just, like, you know, I'm never even, like, okay, like, let's get into it. But, like, sometimes Boys Town just like happens to me. It happens to you, you know.
I need
like,
to go out there more.
You should. I haven't been for a couple of weeks, and I will say like I needed a little like break. I think.
Is it like a different level?
It's such a different level. Like I won't go home before 5 a.m. like anytime I'm there.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And like that was good when I was like here for a weekend.
Yeah.
It was good for a quick little moment. And then going back to California and like not drinking.
Yeah, that
but
makes
now
sense.
I realized I was trying to bring the same energy
everywhere.
And I was like, oh, I can't do this. Like, no.
Okay, that's good to know.
So, yeah, I've been into, like, a River North moment lately, too. And it is, like, you can see the difference so deeply. Like, I was at a club last weekend, and I, like, ended up by myself for a quick moment.
Okay.
But the amount of, like, like men in this club that were actively like trying to like pull me to their groups, or like I was like, if one more man touches me in the middle of this like bar at 2 a.m. like it's like not the energy. I don't like that. I feel like there's a lot more places where you can just like find like people that are cool, but I was like, I haven't had that happen in such a long time that I was like, oh, like I need to like remember that is like a thing. Like sometimes the audacity, it's there.
Different levels, dude. And it also is like, I mean, it's a whole other fucking episode. It's a different topic. It's like the audacity of men when you go out.
No,
and, like,
literally.
If you get them, they're like, okay, bitch. I'm like, okay, you
you go from like
to buy me a drink. Like, get out of my face. And the thing that's hard is someone like me, like I like to like speak up and like have a voice, but I'm also scared because of how small I am. Like someone can just fucking slap me across the face and I will literally drop to the floor. Like,
no, that's
you know what I mean?
valid.
So like
unfortunately,
I as in being a woman and just being, you know, just being vulnerable, like I have to obviously like, okay, just bite your tongue, Alyssa. Like they just called you a bitch. You don't really care. He means nothing to you. Move on to the next. Like you're fine. But I feel like in normal setting, I'd be like, dude, are you kidding me? Like I would like have to call them out. And like I got over that quickly when I realized like I'm not gonna win in terms of like physical fighting.
True.
Ever.
And that's such an unfortunate thing
and
to have
sad.
to think about.
And it's a very sad thing.
But
I know. I need to start taking self-defense classes or something because I feel like I just can't. I don't know, just to have something, you know, it's like very scary out there sometimes.
No, it is. And like, again, it's not even like you're like by yourself on the street. It's like some drunk man, like, can just be like way over the top.
And I think also mixing in the drunk part. Like, you don't know how people act. They can be angry drunks, they can be touchy drunks. Like, and then if I'm an angry, if I'm not angry, but I get like more, I'm like a heightened version of myself drunk. So like, it can be a little bit obnoxious or a little bit more like, I feel more like baddie and like empowered, which probably isn't the best when you're like trying to like be cool, you know what I mean? So it's a whole experience, but it's a whole other like lifetime of trying to navigate, and I don't know if we ever will as women, unfortunately. It's so valid. But I need to go out in Boys Town. Because I can imagine it's just more of a fun vibe, like you said, they're at least allies. So like you feel more comfy.
It's like a fun like dancey moment, and then like the drinks are cheaper. And then again, like I do feel like I'm always surprised, like, or I'll even be like, oh, they're not about to hit on me because like we're in Boys Town, and then somebody will come up and I'm like, oh wait, okay, like I see you. Like,
that's so fun. That's like it's because it's unexpected, so it's more like playful when it actually works out.
It is, and that's like what I mean. I think like the energy is just so much better. It's like you can vibe with it. I'm also very much like a heightened version of myself when I'm drunk, and so like if I'm not into like fully stone cold sober, I'm still not gonna be like, oh, that's it, that's the vibe, or like I'm not gonna like put up with something even if I'm drunk, like that I wouldn't, you know, any other time. And so I feel like it's always fun to be like, okay, like let's see where this goes when it is good, I guess.
No, that makes a lot of sense though. So I mean, if you're comfortable sharing, I want to hear about your date you went on.
Oh my gosh, okay.
So, first of all, that was a few days ago, wasn't it?
It was. It was on Monday.
Yes, because we were like in the middle of texting, and then when you were like, can I expose you for a second? Yes, I was like, we were talking about this today, and then she was like, girl, low-key, I'm so drunk right now. I'll figure it out when I get home, but like, sounds good. And I read that, I'm like, she is the realist. Like, thank you. Like, that was a girl moment. Like, you knew you could be comfortable to be like, girl, I'm drunk, but like, I hear you, I see you, we'll talk tomorrow. That was so cute, and I like love that. You were like, I'm on a date, I'm drunk, LOL. I'm like, okay, do your thing, be safe, we'll talk later.
I know, it was like such a cute little response too. She was like, oh, like, be safe, like, that's so cute.
I literally smiled like, oh my god, that's so fun. She told me she was like on a date, like having fun. Okay, so that was I love that. It was very pure. Yes.
Thank you.
I want to know. So is this like your first date in Chicago?
Oh my god, I think it is, which is like, I'm gonna be honest, like, you're setting the bar, like, it's kind of good. Okay. Like, shout out, I guess.
I'm like blushing for you.
No, I know.
That's so cute.
No, it was cute. It was like somebody that I've like mutually known for like a pretty long time, I guess. Like, at least a couple months, and we've like low-key been trying to hang out or like get together. Like, it'll be one of those things where it's like, okay, like, what are you doing like right now, like tonight? And it's like, okay, like I can't, or like I'm somewhere else, or it'll be like, like we'll talk a little bit, but then again, like it was like the not lining up of like schedules, or like I didn't live here. People forget I did not live in Chicago.
Yes. Okay.
And so yeah, no, it finally like literally just like worked out because like he travels for work too.
Okay.
So like we were trying to line up our schedules, right? Like I obviously didn't live here at one point, and he is a pilot. Ooh, so
that's like the perfect career for you to like even entertain.
No, actually, and I was like, okay, I actually kind of love that because like, not to get ahead of myself, but like even just like for hanging out, like I like the vibe of somebody that has like flight benefits or works in the airline industry or just like gets it, because like I feel like a lot of people I would tell, you know, I would be like, oh, I'm leaving again, and it's like, okay, well, I'm never gonna see you, like why are we even gonna like actually go out, like that's not like worth it. Or like vice versa, like if I like wasn't in that world, I would be like, okay, like homie's always gone, like what am I gonna do? Like
that's like a natural response,
which is valid. And so I love meeting people that are like, okay, well, here's my schedule this month, like I'm gonna be gone like these dates and these dates and these dates, and I'm like, okay, cool, because me too, like I like that you can do your own thing, but then like if we hang out again, like, okay, love that, perfect.
And then you have different experiences to talk about, and also I think that, again, it's been one day, we're not trying to like force
like
anything.
I'm not being insane.
no, it's just like in life, it's just, I think especially when dating, it's good to like know these things young while you're seeking and while you're open to different people, so you know like standards and like what you expect from your actual person you end up with. And I feel like in this sense, if nothing else comes out of this, at least you know, like having someone who's going to support and understand your lifestyle of wanting to travel is huge. And it just worked out that this guy is legitimate, doing like literally a pilot. That's like so funny. It's like very like,
I know,
a very great coincidence, by the way.
It's so fun to like just get that lifestyle, and it's like you're saying, like it's just nice to see like, okay, that is definitely something that I'm realizing I do like value of like, if somebody was always like, oh my god, you're always traveling, or giving me shit about it, like, one, understandable, and to be honest with you, but two, like I don't care.
It's not
like,
for you.
It's not like my vibe. Like I'm 100%. Gonna keep doing what I'm gonna keep doing. And so
Is he like older?
Just a couple of years. So like not really.
That's good. Like, I feel like a pilot to me sounds like a grown man, like a 30-year-old. Or like, I mean, we're not too far from 30, unfortunately. But I'm like, not to age us already. Like whatever, but like I feel like that's like a different level. But like that's cool if he's still like in the age range.
It is, like I feel like he's like the age of like a lot of my friends too. So it's like, you know, 27 is not that old.
No, not at all.
And like in any
setting. And not at all. I think that's like a good age. Exactly. Like especially, just I don't know, they're more put together.
That's
like
true.
compared to like 22-year-olds, you know.
Like, and I will say, like, I'm surprised. Like, I know there's like such a like standard of like, okay, like it's always like an older guy, but like I feel like I have like some people that I know that are like slightly younger than me, and that's such a weird thing to me because that's not anything that I ever thought that like I would be like, oh, okay, like somebody younger. But like sometimes I'm surprised.
And like
it's like such a weird tangent.
They're more
to, like,
mature.
I
think it's I've also have that. I also know people who are even a year younger than me that I'm like, okay, dope, like we can vibe, like you're at least on the same wavelength. Yeah, like we're still like getting the wavelength. But my biggest thing I learned was like I will not talk to a boy in college.
No.
That's like, I know it's literally 2 years away from me, like age wise, like it's not insane, but like I just can't because of where they are in life.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
That to me means like more like you're worrying about like homework and like parties and like that, like to me is like, do that, have fun, meet your college girls, like don't waste your time with, not waste time, but don't like I don't feel the need to entertain you when you have a whole life at college, and like take advantage of that before it's gone.
And that's so valid. If somebody's in just like such a different space than you are, like one, like it might be fun for a minute, but like realistically you're also gonna end up like always doing something different, or like being like occupied, or I feel like that's like a recipe for it just to be like, okay, like this is not it. And then for me, like if you're in college, like have fun with your college girls, make those memories, and when you graduate, when you're ready, then do your thing. I wouldn't put that pressure on somebody. No, 100%.
Because I wouldn't want to be like 21 dating a 25-year-old, because I would feel like, I have to be like older for him, you know.
And that's so true. It's like you don't want to like make anybody that you're with feel like they have to like fully just like I don't know, like fit into your lifestyle, right? Or
Yeah.
like fit into your life if that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like you can't force it, but also it's like if you're not in that place, then
It
you
just-
have to be a little bit. Like
Yes.
you have to be in a similar place.
Yeah, and I think like even just for the sake of your situation, like at least, of course, there's a little difference of age, but it doesn't matter. You guys are both full functioning adults.
Right, exactly, and that's
So
true.
I think
That's
in
true.
your
I
20s, it
feel
doesn't
like
matter like after like school.
this is such a good age to be at. I think of like you really do have so much flexibility and like like we talked about this a little bit last weekend, I remember, but like people are in such different phases of their life right now that like we can talk about this and be like, okay, like we're like dating and seeing what's going on, but then like I have friends that are married or like having kids and things like that. And so it's very interesting to see too. It's like, okay, like who am I going out with that's gonna be also like looking for what I'm looking for right now. Like I'm still running around, like I'm chilling. I'm not concerned.
Yeah, and that's good. Yeah, you're doing your thing.
Yeah, like I know like some people are like, okay, so like, you know, what's like your 5-year plan? And you're like, okay, don't ask me that.
That's like,
like
very
I have no
intense
idea.
for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you had that? Yeah, I know you lived a little differently. Like,
Yeah.
I've only dated people in Chicago, so I feel like they just expect like I'll always be here. I do travel on my own, like with like for my own stuff, but like obviously not as often. But I feel like even on like a second or third date, it's like, so what are you looking for? I'm like, excuse me, I'm still getting to know you. Like,
no,
but also it's like a valid question. If they are ready for that, then like I'm not the person for them.
And that's valid. It's like, it's good that you're bringing that up. Like, I feel like you also can't be like scared in that sense to like say somebody's listening to this and they're like, oh my god, I don't want to come on too strong. It's like, at a certain point, but also if that's like what you're like thinking about, like it's better to know that.
Yes,
100%.
then like lack of better words, waste your time. And then there's gonna be someone out there who's gonna be like, oh my god, I'm also looking to like settle down. Like I don't want to. I'm dating to marry, and that's totally okay.
Exactly, it's like your different pathways that you can be on. 100%.
Yeah, it's
a
a whole thing. It's very interesting though. I do like it, and I also have friends like who are in different states of life. And it's just cool to see like where everyone ends up, and of course rooting for everyone throughout the process.
Yeah.
Just to like wrap up with the date. So, do you have?
Oh my gosh!
I know we like. I know I like. we get a lot of different fun conversations.
I know I get so sidetracked.
No, it's okay. I do too. So what is like your first like real, for lack of better words, like not real, maybe like more legit date?
Oh yeah,
Chicago?
No, this was my first Chicago date.
Okay,
yes.
where like what was the vibe?
It was cute. It was like a little bar, kind of by like West Town.
Okay.
We like met in the middle-ish, and so he like his roommate knew of it, I think.
Okay.
And it ended up being really cute. He was like joking. He was like, okay, like if it's not like the vibe, we can like leave. Like we can like go somewhere else. Like I'm not like sit on this.
Cute.
But yeah, no, it was like a tiny little bar with like lots of string lights, which is like very cute and feels like this time of year for me.
Yes,
also,
totally.
I was like, we love a little like calm establishment.
No,
I don't even know
but like cozy or like it feels comfortable.
It was cute, and then they had like a patio, and so we went out there.
Cute.
And no, like tell me why we talked for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Like that's good.
A good
it was fun.
sign.
I was like, okay, I'm into it.
That's really fun.
Yeah. So like it was fun. I'm realizing I do go for that kind of person. For example, where I've met them before, or I'm like a friend of a friend, or there's some sort of relationship like ahead of time.
And that makes sense.
And I think that's why I don't do like the apps as much, because I'm like, I would love to like have a little bit of a moment and like have the context about you before I'm going out with you. And that was the same thing with this. Like we had so much to talk about because we've been following each other for months, and because we have legitimate mutual friends.
Yeah.
And so it's such a different vibe. And I was like, okay, that's a good thing to see, is that like, yeah, there's a reason where I have that preference of going out with people that I know. Like, I'm not gonna like go date all my friends or anything, but
yeah, no,
like,
that makes sense though, to have a common ground.
Yeah.
And the bare minimum is like we at least have something to talk about if things are awkward.
Exactly.
And like the beginning at least.
And that's the thing. And like at that point, I'm like, okay, even if it's not like I want to go out with you again or something, like you're realistically like you're gonna have like a friend. Like if you're getting a chance to like, do something and you're talking and it's good and you already know each other, like who's to say that you can't like hang out or like meet up once in a while or like run into each other? And it's like, again, like everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. Like you can have a good moment and then Like, if it was a stranger, though, or somebody I was meeting for the first time, I would be like, okay, like, it's more like either, okay, it was good or it was bad. Like,
And-
I want, like, a second date or,
Yes.
like, nothing at all.
Yeah, and you might
Yeah.
not keep that connection.
Exactly.
To be like a friend.
And I think that's cool. And, like, I'm really liking getting to meet more people that way
Mhm.
here, too. It's like, okay, like, let's go out. And then, again, if worse comes to worse, like, at least I know somebody else here, you know?
No, 100%.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. That's cute. And I was going to ask you how you guys met. So that's cool to know there was
Mhm.
like a mutual little moment for you guys.
Yeah.
And do you feel like when you're on a date, are there like certain things you look for right away? Like green flags?
Oh, that's such a good question.
Or like do you just kind of pick up on them like organically?
Yeah, I feel like this is such a boring answer, but I feel like I'm like a pretty like intuitive person.
Okay.
And so I just really always feel like I'm like picking up on
Yeah.
whatever is going on. Like, I don't feel like I'm somebody that has like a big list of like green flags or icks or anything
Mhm.
like that. Like, I think about it a lot and I'm like, okay, I feel like I know it when I see it. Like,
That's
I
fair.
like almost can't like hold on to those things like in my own head,
Okay.
which I guess is good because it's like also maybe that's like something for one person and not
Yeah.
for a different one.
And then you're always open no matter
Yeah.
what. Yeah.
But I will say, like, again, like, green flag is like asking questions. Like, I
Yeah.
don't need to be talking about myself the whole time,
Mhm.
but like I've gone out with people that literally like do not let you get in
Yes.
a word edgewise, and I'm like if you want to talk about yourself, like, that's cool, but like we don't have to be here.
Yes.
Like, we could like you could be doing something else.
Yeah,
like,
I literally touched on that like one of my
Mhm.
first episodes because I'm
oh,
like
yeah.
I was just like I went on a date with this boy and he's like
Mhm.
talking for like 30 minutes and he's like, so what questions do you have for me? I'm like, you just literally gave me your whole life
Yeah,
story.
like, is this a job interview?
and I
also,
yeah,
like,
it was like very it was kind of it was very cringy. It was definitely like an
yeah.
ick, but I didn't know it in the moment,
Yeah.
and so I was out of it. I'm like, wait, that dude literally like hello, like that was just kind of like obnoxious.
Yeah,
and
where it
agree.
like, hits you afterwards.
Yeah, afterward when you like process, like wait, I do not want to see
what
that.
on earth?
Or like in the moment you're like on this high and then you leave and you're like,
Mhm.
fuck, that was actually not the vibe.
Oh my god, yeah, when you like
That's
have a
the worst.
situation where you're like, oh my gosh, that went so well, and then afterward you're like, oh my god, did it?
Or like he'll text you again and like, wait, I don't want to talk to him.
yeah, and it's like, wait, how do I like get out of this now?
Yeah, yeah,
I feel
so-
that too.
That was just like I'm just curious 'cause I feel like I can't pinpoint right now like what things I look for on a first date.
Yeah.
But when it comes, I'm like, oh yeah, that was totally the vibe. Or when
Mhm.
it doesn't come, like that was not the vibe.
No, I feel the same way. I feel like you just have to have like good banter,
Mhm.
almost.
Yes,
Like,
100%.
I feel like obviously like everybody has like an off day, right?
Yeah.
Which is super valid. And like I will too, like if I'm like low key nervous, I was saying this yesterday, I am like so much less funny when I'm nervous
Okay.
than I am like if I'm a little bit like, okay, like this could be a moment, but I'm like not invested, I don't care, I'm like rolling with it. I'm like, I feel like I have such a good energy and like my personality shines through, and then it's so crazy to see like you get a little bit nervous or it's like, oh my gosh, like wait, I kind of want this to go well, and then it's like, where's the personality? Babe?
Yeah, you like
what
shut
happened?
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get it.
No.
You, like subconsciously put pressure on it, and then it makes you feel like you're not fully yourself. So I
Yeah.
totally understand that.
It's such an interesting concept. So yeah, I guess like to that point, it's like, okay, you can just be a little bit nervous, and I feel like you can
Mhm.
tell that though too, like if somebody's like personality just isn't like
Yes, 100%.
what you want, or if it's like, okay, like we're clearly like just testing out the waters
Yes,
here.
I
Yeah.
agree with that. Yeah.
But I think that's my biggest thing is just like if it's fun or if it's a good time, like you can just tell that it's going well. I
Yeah.
guess.
100%.
Yeah.
Cute. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's exciting. I'll be
Yeah,
excited
fun,
like
fun.
later in life to hear if that goes anywhere.
We'll see.
Are you, yeah, like if you see him again or anything like that, because now that you're here.
Yeah, I know exactly.
You
It was like, oh my
technically kinda
gosh,
can.
I will be around technically.
Aw, that's cute though. That's fun.
yeah.
Ugh, okay, I cannot believe we literally had over an hour of
Oh my
talking,
gosh.
which is amazing. Everything we touched on, amazing.
I
Like
love
that I
that.
wanted to touch on. So I love that. Do you have any last words, or do you have any thoughts, any questions for me?
Yeah, no, honestly, just thank you so much for having me on here. Like, I'm genuinely so stoked because I have been a loyal listener
Oh
to
my
the
god,
podcast. Like,
that is so cute. I really appreciate appreciate
I was
that.
listening to the last one with Oaks, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's gonna be me soon. That's exciting.
That's so cute.
So yeah, no, it's
Well, thank you. Yeah,
it's an honor.
I'm. It's so glad it just worked out again
Yeah,
before
me
you
too.
go on your trip.
Oh
so
my gosh, yeah, perfect
safe
timing.
travels. Best of luck. I'm
Thank
excited to
you.
see all the pics and videos and all that fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to just plug like your social medias? Anything you want them to know about you?
Yeah, all literally every single one of my socials is AnnaDove __. My Instagram hopefully will be popping off again after Spain. I go through ebbs and flows, so we'll see.
Cute.
But yeah, also quick little plug, am
Yeah.
working on a new project. It's a rotating collection of artists, like smaller local artists, and showcasing their work. So that's called the Mana Collection. That's gonna be dropping soon. Just like a little side thing. Yeah.
Is there gonna be is there like events for that, or is it like all through social media?
Yeah, it's gonna be like e-commerce based,
Okay.
but we're looking to do some pop-ups.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a series of like prints to start out.
Okay, great.
They're super cool. Think like disco cowboy sort of vibe.
Oh my gosh.
No, like so fun. I want them all for my house.
Wait,
like, and
I'm so
not,
excited.
Not just saying that, like I want them.
Okay.
And
Okay,
so,
well,
yeah.
I'm of course going to be following this journey, so I will definitely
Yes,
support in any way. Let me
absolutely.
know,
Thank you.
like
Oh my
throughout the
gosh.
process too. I'll share and all the stuff too.
I love that. Yes,
That's
it's
so
a very
exciting.
exciting moment. I almost forgot to like even mention.
Oh my
that,
god! Well, I'm
but-
glad you did it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Mana Collection. That's another. That's
Okay,
another one.
Amazing. Well, yeah, give her a follow her journey. Go, vicariously live through her when she's traveling, and be supportive for her future endeavors.
Right,
Thanks
you.
for being here,
Oh my
Anna.
gosh.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being here. We are again at another episode of On to the Next. It has been such a fun journey. I have the link in my bio to submit questions, comments, thoughts, stories. I love the ones I'm getting so far. I definitely will spend an episode going more in depth with those, but please feel free to do so. And you know the drill: follow, like, subscribe, share, comment, review. It's like we know this by now. I will see you when we are on to the next episode next week. Bye.